Welcome. Today I'm going to be discussing progress and tracking progress and progression as a total when it comes to mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritual, and the aspects that these states of beings have in accordance to progression and making progress. And um, things are always changing, so that's in a coordination with life and how life is always changing, and that um, things are not always in a fixed way. Things are not always the same for prolonged experiences or prolonged events or time periods. Things are always changing. We're always going through progression and progression through things mentally, through things emotionally, through things physically, through things spiritually. So being able to track that progression is one that can keep one accountable. Being able to track that progression and be aware of that progression as far as the states of being and what progress it is that you're making and where you can make more progress, and all these areas that you can touch as a person or as a being or as one who's experiencing life is, okay, how can I do better here? How can I do better when it comes to this area? How can I do better when it comes to this area? How can I do better when it comes to this area? And getting down to those areas and working on those areas and perfecting your craft in those areas to be able to progress towards the place and space that you want to be in, whether that be mentally, the place and space that you want to be in, whether that be physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever that may be, working towards that progression and progressing in that way and towards that direction when it comes to your actions and the way that you are progressing. Keep continuously progressing. Being able to track that progression that you have is going to be able to keep yourself accountable, keep yourself aware of what it is that you're dealing with and what it is that you're experiencing with as far as the progress that you've been making recently, and to continue on to look at it and in that way and have that perspective of how it is that you are progressing when it comes to this. There will be more parts to this. That's just the first part. So we're going to find ourselves in these seasons, in these time experiences, in these situations and scenarios of having to progress, having to go certain amounts of times by getting better, whether that be mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, having to improve on anything, whether that be mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, and improve, make things better, same thing, but making sure that we are moving towards a progression is what we're going to be working on. So we're talking about those periods of having to put in amounts of work. There's going to be resistance to that. There's going to be mental fatigue or mental resistance to not want to do all this progress or putting in all this work. There's going to be physical things that come in the way. There's going to be emotional and spiritual things that may occur to where they may want to prohibit you being able to make this certain progress. But we got to make sure that we are going strong into this season of work and into this season of making the progress through the work that we do. And so continuing on to grow as far as from being unprogressive as far as mentally towards being progressive mentally means that you're doing things and you're acting and you're using your mental state of being in a way that benefits your overall progression as far as mentally, whether that be becoming mentally sharp or becoming mentally more sound, having more sound reason or logical, the mental ability to use logic in your favor, the ability to use your mental state of being for whatever it is that you need to use it for. You are now progressing when it comes to, let's say physically. Anytime you're physically unprogressive, that means you are not valuing your physical as essence or your physical vessel and valuing it or taking care of it in order to be able to make that progressive movement towards a progression as far as physically, a progression of becoming physically stronger, a progression of becoming physically healthier, becoming more physically able to do things, becoming more physically fit for whatever it is that you have to do when it comes through the experiences that you go through. When it comes to emotionally, being emotionally unprogressive, maybe emotionally depending on certain things to feel a certain way, certain person, places, or things, whatever that may be, putting the wrong energy towards the emotional dependency towards certain things that you can't necessarily depend on as far as emotionally, or let's say just not being emotionally responsible or emotionally mature for that matter. Being able to be progressive in the emotional state of being is be able to work towards being stronger emotionally, more emotionally independent, more emotionally aware, more consciously aware as far as emotionally of what it is that you are going through. And when it comes to spiritually, being able to be progressive versus unprogressive means, progressive is being able to do whatever it is that you have to do, put in the spiritual work that you have to do, value certain spiritual systems, have certain spiritual thoughts or beliefs, or the ones that you know to be true, and to speak truly through you and as a real spirit, to be able to work in those understandings, work in those teachings, those reasonings, those spiritual knowledges or wisdoms, or there's a word that I'm looking for, but I can't think of right now, but being progressive as far as spiritually, rather than unprogressive, of staying stagnant, being in the same energy, being around the same things, being involved in the same, let's say, stagnant as far as what it is that you do as far as a spiritual aspect to your reality. So that's a thing when it comes to progression and like making progress versus being unproactive, unproductive, and having unprogression, which is the opposite of being progressive and making progress. So when it comes to that, yeah, that's definitely like good to be known, good to be talked about, good to be able to know that you're continuously making progress mentally, you're continuously making progress emotionally, you're continuously making progress as far as physically, you're continuously making progress as far as spiritually. Therefore, you can keep track of this and you can know, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right path in this area. I'm on the right path in this area. I'm on the right path in this area. The paths that I'm on are leading me to where I need to go. The paths that I'm leading towards are leading me to where I need to be, and to find that position, find that place, and to work towards being in those places and work towards being in those spaces that we know and see and perceive and sense that we can be in, as far as mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and continuously working towards those and continuously making that progress that we can make. So continue on being progressive. Catch you in the next one.